committee is seeking feedback from all stakeholders as we consider options for the 2023-2024 school year. We have an overview of a modified versus traditional school year calendars. They're posted on our website along with FAQs, frequently asked questions, and sample modified school year calendars from other districts. Also on the page is a link to a stakeholder survey, which includes a video about modified school year calendars. We are asking everyone to watch the video before taking the survey and complete the survey by next Monday, October 31st. And again, this is just exploratory and information. Again, we did glean from some of the districts in the state that have done it and considered it and are looking at it, and just presenting this information, again, just from an exploratory standpoint. Madam Chair, I know Dr. Broussard is maybe prepared to offer any more information on that, but that's kind of what we had put out, and we are responding to just like we did with COVID and so forth. When the questions come up, we update the FAQs and all of that, so that information is on the site as well. So I don't know if you want to go there or you want me to conclude first and then.
You want to go ahead, Dr. Broussard?
Mm-hmm.
Chairman Harris, Board of Commissioners, and Dr. Witherspoon. Just as a little background information. The first meeting of the District Calendar Committee was actually held on September 15th. And as a point of reference, I'll share that the District Calendar Committee isn't even typically established until November, and our first meetings are typically in late November or early December. So we started early. Prior to that September 15th meeting, I pulled out the same old PowerPoint that I've used every year and made a few minor modifications, which I'll discuss in just a moment. During the meeting on September 15th, I shared pretty much the same information that I've shared at all past District Calendar Committee first meetings that I've facilitated. Things like the purpose and goal, the expectation of stakeholder engagement, the statutory guidelines that we have to follow, other considerations like the district's desire to get out before winter break or targeted dates for graduation, the length of summer learning programs, and so forth. And then the last item we typically discuss is next steps. So this year's first meeting was basically the same as all other first meetings with one exception. During the discussion of other considerations, I shared with the committee that we were asked last year when our calendar recommendation was presented to the board whether or not we had considered a modified school year calendar. And with that in mind, one slide was added to my presentation that included 4 bullet points about a modified school year calendar. There was a bullet indicating what Dr. Witherspoon just shared, that approximately a fourth of the school districts in South Carolina are already on a modified school year calendar, or they're planning to be next year. There was another bullet point that said there are pros and cons to everything. There was a bullet that stated that moving to a modified school year calendar would require a state waiver, and that's one of the beauties of having a modified school year calendar, is that we're actually allowed to begin the school year before that mandated third Monday in August. And then the final bullet was one that stated very specifically, and I quote, stakeholder input is essential. And then we provided samples of both modified school year calendars and traditional calendars. And on the slide that I use every year entitled Next Steps, I also added a bullet indicating a recommendation that we include an additional step this year that's not typically included in the calendar development process, stating that if the committee wanted to even consider a modified school year calendar, that step was surveying our stakeholders to determine their, and that word was italicized, their interest in having a modified school year calendar. This step was listed above the development of any drafts, and actually above steps typically involved in the development of any drafts. The committee agreed with this suggestion, and so I think because we have only surveyed folks at the end after drafts have been completed, I think there is a misperception that we have already developed drafts, that the decision has already been made to move to a modified school year calendar, and nothing could be further from the truth. We simply wanted to get stakeholder input before we went any further in the consideration, not wanting to invest any time in developing a draft for a modified school year calendar if it was not something that was wanted by our stakeholders. And our committee offered up other suggestions like creating the video that we've included in the survey and FAQs to explain what a modified school year calendar is. So once we receive the feedback, which is due on Monday, Dr. Miner's office is teed up to summarize all of that information, and I'll be sharing that information with the district calendar committee when we meet next Thursday, November the 3rd. I want to reiterate, there are no drafts of any calendars, and we'll follow the same process of developing drafts and presenting those drafts to the public for consideration after those drafts are done. So hopefully that background information helps you understand where we are right now in the process.
Thank you so much, Dr. Brizard. And clearly, we're just surveying for interests.
That's correct.
No calendars have been drafted.
No drafts are
Awesome.
No drafts are even in the works at this point.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Witherspoon. You can continue.